Hey everyone, this is Todd with the Prepper website, doing another edition of Commentary and Stuff, live, raw, unedited, and with a lot of ums and uhs. Alright, let's go ahead and start. Just recently came to this website, More Than Just Surviving, and I believe it's Elise, I think that's her name, shared what they did when they're up in Canada. So it's really cold, but when the power went out for 5 days, starting in December 22nd. So I guess they went through Christmas without power. But anyway, talking about the loss of power and what they did. So just a real example. They talk about a lot of pictures, which I think that's always great, just to kind of look at pictures and see how people live and what they were doing and experiencing. Um, a lot of candles. At one point, I know they talked about going to bed and they had a lot of layers of clothes on. Fortunately, they had a neighbor that had a wood stove. But anyway, I thought it was a really great article, just a first-hand experience of what they went through and what they would do differently. And so I encourage you to go check that out over at More Than Just Surviving. Moving along, Mom with a Prep has just a quick little article on preventing a mini pandemic. And I think this is just important to make sure that we have these preps on hand, like the face mask and Lysol and antibacterial gel. And of course, she says that she doesn't always use it, but of course, when something like this is going on, someone's sick in the home, they kind of move to that. As an educator, this is always kind of important to me because I know how fast things can spread in the schools. So I'm always asking my school nurse how are the numbers? Are a bunch of kids going home with fevers and throwing up and stuff like that? So I'm always trying to keep my pulse on that. So flu and sickness, all that stuff is something that I'm kind of always my keep my fingers on the pulse there. Something to always remember. Lisa Bedford over the survival mom recently relocated to Texas, and she wrote an article about it. Strategic relocation. When we read a lot of articles about strategic relocation, we know that there's the book out there. We have different authors, suggesting to move to different parts of the country where preppers would fare better, I guess, away from big population centers. But she goes a little bit into more detail about things that you really got to think about. Being prepared for it, really looking into it, researching it. She was I think they were in Phoenix, Arizona, and moving from Phoenix, Arizona, Arizona to Texas, looking at all that kind of stuff. You just don't want to pack up and move somewhere without having some things. I mean, unless you're independently wealthy, having some things lined up is very important. So she talks a little bit about her experience there and things that you need to think about, always with some common sense. So go check that out. Strategic relocation. You're doing it wrong over at the Survival Mall. Over at Grey Wolf Survival, it talks about what documents that you need to have in your bug out bag, or I would just say what kind of documents you need to have copies of wherever, in any kind of bag, to maybe have put up so that you have duplicates of it in case something happens. But he talks about paper copies. If you have paper copies that you carry with you in your bag, make sure that you waterproof it. And he talks about digital copies, um, security software, putting on thumb drives, stuff like that, file names, file types, zipping. You can even drop them onto your Kindle, your smartphone, tablets. And then he provides a good little list of things that the documents that you should have, right? Contact phone numbers, maps, you know, whatever. Things that you should just have with you: birth certificate, marriage certificate, driver's license, insurance cards, whatever, home insurance, car insurance, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, so he talks about that. He also adds this piece here at the very bottom about realizing, creating a list of where you carry things in your bug out bag. So some people's bug out bags are so big that it would take a lot to get through. So just kind of doing that, he kind of adds that to it. I would say that I, I've I've scanned documents before into my printer. Depending on your scanner, it can take a while doing that. I mean, if you have a fast scanner, it'll be great. If you don't, you can sit there for a long time doing that. I suggest using, if you have an Android phone, I don't know if iPhones have this or not, but there's an app called Cam Scanner. It's free. You can take a picture of anything and it'll create a PDF for you. And then you can upload that to a Dropbox, or you can just download it to a USB. So something to think about there. That app is called Cam Scanner. Todd over at Survival Sherpa has um, a good article on just processing wood safely with your axe. It's something that you always should hear and talk about, um, or at least and practice safety. You can hurt yourself really quickly doing using an axe. So even this picture here of him kneeling down, so he's not having to stretch really far, and so things are a little bit more aligned. Todd also has a good article out. It's coming out tonight. I don't have it on the site, but by the time you see this video, it'll be on the site, about creating your own waterproof tinder, and doing it with jute and wax. And I thought it was a really good one. So making it, and it costing you pennies versus paying for it, and being $8-9 for a few packages. So anyway, that's something you can check out as well. Common Sense Homesteading. I haven't seen a good article on geese recently, and so this is a good one that you can read, and talks about the different types of geese and their temperaments, the fact that they do a lot of foraging for themselves. At least this family's geese like to do that. And there's different ones that they have. Raising them with chickens and some of the problems that they might have with chickens, and then just how much fun they are, and the fact that they can protect themselves. They haven't had a lot of issues with with predators. So that's something to check out. Common Sense Homesteading. Fernando Aguirre over at the Modern Survivalist. Someone has, even Jesus calls or emails Fernando to ask him questions, right? Now this is, I'm sure it's Jesus. Asked him a question about urban survival skills, and Fernando's a very straightforward, common sense person, and he gives it to you straight, and things that you should consider as urban skills, and fitness and nutrition, being healthy, business and marketing skills, finance and budgeting, all things that you would need in the city, in the urban life. Sometimes people, they look at it, you're not going to need the same kind of skills being in the city, in even in a collapse situation, which he has a lot of experience being in Argentina during the collapse, versus somebody being out in the wilderness. So I think that's something good to go take a look at, and getting a good dose of reality. He's, like I said, he's always common sense. He seems to balance everything really well. So go take a look at that. I don't know why I was kind of searching online just for making soup, and not necessarily for recipes, but just looking for the components. And so this is a short article on the components for making a soup: choosing your fat, choosing a base, choosing your meat, choosing veggies, spices, and then going about cooking it up. So anyway, just we might find ourselves at a time where we have a bunch of different things in our pantry, and we want to throw something together. Soups go a long way, and just that's something good to know, something quick to check out. Over at Tin Hat Ranch, I really appreciate the fact that he's done a video on the Baofeng radio. He takes a little bit of time doing this video, showing you how to program it. So I think this is really great to go look at. Now, soon after I saw this one, I did see over at Geek Prepper John had posted this one too about keypad and the keypad programming, the Baofeng, and I think this is really helpful. Um, over at the first time I ever heard about the Baofeng, it was over at Geek Prepper, and I bought mine because of that. And it is, I mean, I've sat down with it and messed around with it a little bit, and not, I don't have it to where I really would like to have it and my knowledge of it. But these kinds of things are very helpful. Of course, I'm sure there's other videos on YouTube and stuff that you can do, but they good job of just kind of laying it out there and programming it. So I suggest you go look at both of those, and I hope they continue doing things like that. I know John over at Geek Prepper does uses this radio a lot, so I'm hoping he'll do a little bit more there. Snowman always very over at Survival News Online, always very entertaining with his videos. He just does a video on using the trucker's hitch and using it as a pulley system without a pulley, using a rope as a pulley system. So we've got the video there, and some I guess this is artwork. We need to get Snowman a little bit of therapy. Of course, these are stretching zombies. But anyway, it's a good knot to learn. Good having that pulley system available whenever you need it. All right, so let me get to this last one over at Vela Creations. Awesome article on a gray water filter, and so I'm very curious about gray water filters because we might be putting one in at my dad's place up in East Texas. But let me scroll down here. The computer's going slow today. This is a picture of under their sink, and you have this pipe here coming off of the sink, and I think they have another one here in a picture that we'll see in a minute. But below this basket, they have it tied into another pipe that goes out to another filter that filters the water again right before it goes into a wicking system that they have in their garden. So I'm going to click over here on, okay, yeah, there you go. Okay, so here's their first water filter, and I'm pretty sure I linked to this one as well back in the day. The problem he said with this one is that he was having to clean it out every so often, every couple of days, and it wasn't as effective. So they were looking for something else, and you can look at their system here. Here's that's the pipe, and he does a couple of pictures here of cutting out his container there to be able to fit it. I'm just going to scroll through these really quick. You can go take a look at them a little bit later on if you want to. But this is such a very simple system. It's not even funny. So anyway, so here it is. It's tied into to the drain here, which is going out to the other filter that's at the garden bed. Excuse me. All right, and then here is the base part of it, and you have some screen here. Not the base. I'm sorry. This is the actual filter where they're vermicomposting is what they're doing. And so he puts in his materials there, the worms and everything. You see it here in place. Water's coming down. I don't know what this is here. Maybe this is the other side of the sink where it's coming down. But anyway, so you have maybe that's coming off of their a dishwasher or something. I'm not sure. But anyway, where the other one where he was having to change it out and to clean it every couple of days, this one he went 4 months. And it did such an awesome job. He said the water on at the second filter, by the time it got there, looked good enough to drink. And of course, he said, you're not going to drink it, but it looked clear enough to drink. And then going through that second filter, for sure, things would work really well. So a little bit later on, there's some pictures here where he's actually taking apart a top layer that needed to go out and be composted and ready to go, and just filled it up with another layer of material and is ready to go. And I just think, let's see if I click on this one here, kind of shows, and the worms are in there, and just really worked really well. And so again, I'm interested in this because we have a place up in East Texas that we might need to be doing something like this. All right. Lastly, let me end with this. I have a link here. I'm going to headline it for the week. It's called "Have You Experienced a Disaster?" And I was contacted a couple of months ago um, by someone, Jessica Pooley. I think that's, I know for sure the last name is Pooley. Yeah, Pooley. And she is a master's student doing, getting her master's in educational leadership, or leadership studies, I'm sorry. And she is doing a research paper on preparedness and specifically preppers who live in the rural areas. And she's asked if she would get a little bit of help, could get a little bit of help getting the survey filled out. And basically, she's asking, or the purpose of it is to determine the effectiveness of prepping, identifying opportunities for rural communities to be self-sufficient and therefore more resilient post-disaster, and ultimately creating a recommendation for rural communities to develop disaster preparedness plans. She is a prepper herself. If you go and you click on that link, the link that I've headlined, it goes to Ed That Matters. You can access the survey here. But then if you have some more questions, I've copied and pasted the information that she provides in the first portion of the survey to give you a little bit more information before you actually go there, and then you can click here. It goes to SurveyMonkey. A lot of people use that. It's very anonymous. It doesn't take any of your data, and so it just marks your answers. Now the thing is she's expecting people who fill this out that they have gone through some kind of disaster scenario. So hurricanes, wildfires, winter storms, flooding, whatever, anything where you would consider that it's a disaster scenario or a disaster event. If you could fill that out, and she would appreciate it, and I would appreciate that too. All right, guys, I really appreciate you coming by and watching the video and supporting the site. Again, thanks so much, and we'll see you soon.